Hello and welcome back to the road towards Fantasia 2000. Like I mentioned at the end of Make My Music, the next step that Disney took afterward was Melody Time. Although this, if I recall correctly, has a bunch of different titles depending on country. In French, it's like called Melody Cocktail. In my country, it's called The Seven Pearls Chest. Probably because it's a compilation of 7 shorts, so I guess we wanted to be cute with that. But anyway, just like before, it's a sort of repackaging of all the ideas that did not ended up being featured in Fantasia, plus some other stuff they wanted to fill in. Still with a bunch of, different singers and musicians.
So does this one feel more sturdy than Make Mine Music?
I'll let you be the judge of that. For directors, Jack Kinney, Clyde Geronimi, Hamilton Lusk, and Wilfred Jackson, and a shit ton of writers like before, so I'm not telling all of them. Alright, for your convenience, audience, if you live in the UK or America, Disney Plus is your best bet because the movie has a bit of a schizophrenic release. Apparently, for most of re-releases in America, until recently, they had to censor a couple of scenes that included the usage of tobacco, because apparently kids are too stupid to figure out that you're not supposed to smoke at that age.
Basically, the original DVD release from the early 2000s was indeed a cut 1 hour 13-minute version that cut out all those bits. Like, I think Zakarioka doesn't actually have a cigar in that version, if I remember correctly.
It's mostly the last segment which also features our smoking, that we had to rework some scenes.
Fortunately,
parents would teach them that was bad.
Fortunately,
that said, though, Disney Plus pretty much repackages the uncensored version.
Which, like I said, it's your best bet.
There you go.
Regardless, for convenience sake, it starts because before the Arcadia Radio Pictures logo, because I guess Randy Orton is nearby. Anyway, let's start in 3, 2, 1, click.
It actually stands for radio something pictures or whatever.
We even start with the book opening.
So yeah, since this one was made in about, 1948, this is a part of the package film age/wartime era of Disney.
Mm-hmm. I love how Roy Rogers gets a top bill despite the fact that he appears only at the end.
So from what I understand, this is pretty much the last purely musical
major one,
film
yes.
Until
Fantasia 2000.
Yeah, because this was right after this, finally World War II was over, so they could get back to making Cinderella.
There was still the things we haven't looked yet are the duology of the propaganda cartoon for South America, Saludos Amigos and the Three Caballeros, but there's time for that as well, another time.
Let's not forget there's also the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad as well from this era.
Also fun and fancy free, but again, there will still these things occasionally, but they start to be more scarce, and Cinderella was the game changer, essentially.
Yeah, well, Cinderella was the beginning of what is known as the Silver Age.
Yeah,
okay. I can actually. Here's the thing. Much like we make my music, I listen to this, watch this as a VHS from my grandparents with Daddy, and I can say that they did a great job for these new copies with the audio polishing. It actually sounds much more clean.
Well, this
Disney had practically made a living out of remastering their films. I remember the days of the Silver Edition, the Golden Edition, the Jewel Edition, and of course the Diamond Edition.
Well, that's the thing, Joe. Like you yourself said, I would argue they only really found their groove there with the Diamond Editions, because if you go back and check out the 2001 DVD of Snow White, the coloring is off, let's just say.
Oh, all right. Much like before, much like with Make My Music, there is no real thing that connects everything together, but like before, there is an actual proper intro that tells you what's gonna happen.
So, bang. Neat.
Again,
I don't know who this person is, actually.
Again, yet another one of those movies that was made more out of necessity rather than something that they actually wanted to make because of the World War thing.
Okay, did Walt like making any of these movies? I really gotta know, because if he didn't, that was 6 or 7 years of films that he wouldn't have.
It was an entire decade, Jova, pretty much.
Yeah.
Remember, Fantasia and Pinocchio were in 1940 and Cinderella in 1950. An entire decade spent on propaganda cartoons and repackagings.
Okay. To be fair, the Golden Age ended with Bambi, so technically that was
Alright.
the last film that
So-
Walt actually wanted to make for quite some time. But yeah,
First thing first, Once Upon a Winter Time, actually, which features Frances, I think, Langford, which sings about a couple skating on ice.
This is one of the shorts I had seen on its own.
This is actually one of the more cute, well, in a sense that it's, cute imagery, but it's a nice romantic story with a bit of action. This was actually apparently also re-released as a theatrical short later in 1954. For those in the audience who don't know, back in the day, television, again, was not as common, and it was just about to hit. So even for seeing something short, people will still go at the cinema. So things like these were not really uncommon.
Well, yeah, this was back. Well, remember too, escapism during World War II was incredibly necessary. So that's not really surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I know Walt probably didn't like having to make any of the musical repackaging ones, but did he like making Saludos Amigos and the Three Caballeros?
Apparently, yes. Considering this, Jovan, I will tell more when we get to those. But remember, to make those, the entire animation team actually went on vacation in the places. So
Nice,
we combined Joe with an actual vacation in Mexico and all the places of America.
We also,
Keep in mind, though, at the end of the day, it was still for propaganda, so it were probably treated much well than they probably needed.
Well, okay, it wasn't just war propaganda, but also the good neighbor policy.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It wasn't propaganda cartoon technically, but an unconventional one. Just basically, we give you good publicity, people will go see your state, and maybe we'll do 1 or 2 bases. And in exchange, you probably don't ally with the Nazis. Thank you.
Yeah. Isn't that cute? The rabbit has the hots for the human.
it also shows that it also continues to show the more limited animation compared to the detailed one we'd see in Pinocchio and Snow White and Fantasia. The models are a bit more simple. I would argue Bambi was still fantastic looking and on par with.
I think Joel was agreeing with you on that in a sense, but this was still not on par with that quality.
Here's the thing we have to remember: the Golden Age ended with Bambi in 1942, which means the Golden Age of Disney also includes everyone's favorite, Dumbo.
I'm not saying
that even Walt Disney himself went on to go to say that he hated.
That's the thing, Joe.
Really?
Remember, too, Dumbo was made because Pinocchio and Fantasia failed hard, and they needed something that would be a surefire crowd pleaser.
Dumbo was made on the cheap, and it was the shortest single film of the time, with only 64 minutes as its runtime.
We have to remember too that Walt was very ambitious, and he didn't really like making simple films. I'm not saying that. Well, he himself said he hated it, but it's because, too, as you know, by Fantasia, Walt was very ambitious, and he didn't want to just make simple movies like Dumbo. He wanted to make something more ambitious like Fantasia. That's what he really wanted. So
I think Fantasia was actually his first ever bomb, really, because Snow White and Pinocchio, I recall, did well enough.
That's the thing, Joe. Remember, World War II. Because of that, no receipts from international theaters.
Yeah.
It was a problem, a really big problem.
Although I recall Dumbo and Bambi did well enough. Also, dude, you are flaking on this date.
Also, can I just point out the fact that the female rabbit has like pink eyes, like not the clear, but proper pink eyes.
Also, we just got a panty shot in this family film. Just saying.
Yeah.
But she's wearing like.
An entire it's old timey. This is because we mentioned
this somehow makes it okay
in the 800s.
Fine.
So yeah, she's very much covered up. Like seriously.
Fine. I don't know. To me, it just boils down to the same thing.
Pantaloons and all that jazz.
Wow, even the horses are mocking you.
Yeah. Shame. Ow.
Love sucks.
Well, it sucks when it's unrequited. When it is requited, it's awesome. But yeah. It's either one extreme or the other. Yeah, I will agree with you there.
Was all this because he accidentally kicked snow in her face?
Not necessarily accidentally. He wanted to be a prank.
Oh.
He was so shocked he started blinking.
There's being jealous, and then there's this.
Violation of common sense.
Oh.
Shit.
Oops.
You know, I really feel bad for the orchestra that they had to actually do. I probably had to stress an instrument for that kind of effect. Jesus.
The state really is a bust, huh?
Yeah. Also, there's literally no one else to help. It's literally just this poor
Yeah, where are
soul.
all the people who were skating just now?
I guess they stayed in because there was a forecast of green skies.
Don't you see? This is like that episode with Lucky in Speed Riding 3. So
Fortunately, this works like in the 1940s. Save the damsel in distress, and she will magically fall in love with you for some reason.
Well, to be fair, I think they were already in love.
it was more like remember, Jova, tragedy in three acts, love story in three acts already exist in love, convenient misunderstanding, and success after rescue.
Of course, in typical
Ow.
Disney fashion, the skies darken in an odd color when things are amiss.
Well, that's just basic lighting in films, so...
Leave it to the
Jesus.
squirrels and the birds.
I mean, I think, well, Jova, look at it this way, it's still better than the way Pagemaster did it, where suddenly red filter for no reason.
to emphasize the action of Moby Dick, yeah.
Again, you can do that, but you have to be more clever about how you implement that.
Yeah, I get what we wanted to do, but it's just not done right.
Also, in typical Disney fashion, the horses
The animals
are
have to do
awesome.
anything.
Well, not just that, the horses do a lot of the heavy lifting and
The
are
humans
awesome
are
doing it.
virtually useless.
There we go.
Oh.
You may want to get that checked out.
Don't worry, Joe. Hypothermia can just be cured with love.
Aww.
I guess that's the moral of the day.
These horses have some necks. Jesus.
Are they
They're like
part
half
giraffe?
seahorse.
Well, darling, that was a wonderful date. We nearly died, I of cold, and you were falling off a cliff. But, all in all, it came out rather well. So, same time next week?
I'll take that as a yes, Joe.
Oh god, that dead stare of his. I mean, God, it's almost like she knew he killed him with love, and oh, I guess they got married.
Pretty much. Remember, that's how we started.
What are you
privacy,
doing in
Jova.
there?
Well, technically, this is just
pictures, though.
they're just a picture, so they can't.
Alright, this next one is probably another one more famous because this was supposed to be in the cancelled sequel of Fantasia.
Freddie Martin.
Freddie Martin presenting Flight of a Bumblebee.
Huh. A classic. Bumblebee.
Mm-hmm.
Boogie, boogie, boogie.
It even has a narration that describes typically what they did for the first Fantasia as well.
Oh, a jazzy version of Flight of the Bumblebee.
Yeah, pretty unique actually. I guess we wanted to give it a more personal spin.
Okay, I don't know if Walt liked making this movie, but I can at least appreciate it as giving some lesser shorts their dues here and there. Like, don't get me wrong, I get wanting to be ambitious, but it is nice to give the little guy his spotlight here and there too.
Mm-hmm. The problem, Jova, is that, again, for a long time, this was the norm. I get the idea that he at least wanted to diversify.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Like one off here and there is fine, but he didn't want to just make these, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
He was
Not
forced
to mention, Joe, I remember, yes, Fantasia was supposed to be a long-term project with different sequels, but spruced in between, like with time with each time. Instead, we got for a long time a sequel, a couple of these titles, but were even like minor version of probably what Walt
God.
wanted to have.
Did they
Yes,
actually
a Piano
treat them as,
Cobra.
did they actually treat him as sequels to Fantasia? I can see why he would have hated doing
At least,
that.
well, remember, Joe, we kind of have the same structure in a way. So I can imagine him at least, being disheartened by the idea that what he wanted to be his magnum opus was essentially becoming a shadow itself. Yeah.
Also remember that even though these are shorts, like something even only a couple of minutes long takes a long time to make in animation.
Remember,
so like
this
he
was
had to
still
take out a lot of time to actually work on this. I can imagine it being very draining to work on something for like, weeks, months that you don't even want to make in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Guess that explains why with the Silver Age he went really above and beyond with a lot of his stuff. Well, until his death, sadly.
By the way, I forgot to mention that as a kid, this was the short that scared the most of the shit out of me.
Really?
Yes, well, mostly because, well, as you can see, everything was trying to kill this poor fucking insect. But the type of, phases they applied to the instruments and everything kind of remind me of the forest scene from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which still haunts me to this day.
And yes, audience, I'm aware that we're not exactly handling these Disney movies in chronological order, but hey, we'll get to them eventually.
It's not like there's any continuity between them, so I fail to see why it's such a big deal.
Alright, Joe, next one is probably gonna be one, if you don't know this yet, this is probably gonna be one of your favorites. This is time for some American history with John Chevment, aka Johnny Appleseed.
Also, Pedro Sonny mentioned that for years there's actually been a lot of clues people used to try and tie the Disney canon together.
So like the Pixar,
that happens with everything.
That's like like the Pixar theory, basically.
Yeah, kind of.
Of course, in classic Disney fashion, let's start with a live-action shot of a book.
Paul Bunyan, John Henry, and David Crockett, which Disney actually did a couple of movies in the live-action series.
The primary theory that I keep hearing is that how people try to continue to argue that Andy's mom was actually Jesse's original owner.
That would not surprise me totally.
True, but without confirmation, direct confirmation from Pixar, I'm not gonna go with it still.
The person who narrates everything is going to provide the voice of the characters is Dennis Day, which was also an actor and I think a radio host.
Yeah,
This also got released separately in theater on Christmas Day on 1955.
It's gonna be interesting when we cover the movie that's literally a bunch of Disney shorts all tapered together.
Mm-hmm.
One of those shorts has the John Henry short made by Disney Animation.
Oh, I actually haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's a pretty good one.
I can imagine. Okay, again, keep in mind, this is probably one of the highlights, actually, of these, and despite me not being American, and, not being, at least anymore, a religious person, I can actually dig this kind of story they told, and keep in mind, this is basically almost to a T the presentation of, Johnny's essential preaching and colonization that he did in America.
Mm-hmm.
I think for this particular moment, for this particular sequence in my country, the song was actually left in English, but the rest of the short was actually dubbed because there's actually dialogue in this.
Oh, rhyming.
Mm-hmm. Oh no. Settlers. Yes, watch all these happy people wanted to, with hope in their eyes. Most of them will probably die of dysentery along the way. Again, Jova, the Oregon Trail and the Banner Saga told me that caravans never have a good run.
Yeah. Difficult times back then.
Also, don't forget about the slaughtering of the natives. But let's not talk about that. This is not supposed to be that kind of short.
Not to mention, the 1940s mean it pretty much ignored those elephants in the room, basically.
Remember, this is supposed to be essentially a glorification of American history, so we'll probably just want to see mention the positive stuff.
Obviously.
Well, it's like that in a lot of countries, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Johnny has doubts about his life. Oh no, Johnny, I guess something was in the apples. You're starting to see things. Yes, his own personal guardian angel, which apparently is dressed like Davy Crockett, I guess.
Pretty unconventional looking for Disney, but yes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, technically, yeah. Actually, I haven't checked, I don't think it's credited here specifically which the animators was, but this seemed to be animated by the same people who did Pinocchio and the, Peter and the Wolf, for short.
Well, yeah, the Nine Old Men, yeah.
Specifically this one.
You want to know which of the 9 old men worked on it?
Well,
hold on, you're talking about... We talk about Pinocchio the movie in general, or just the ones who animated Pinocchio the character himself? Because
well, I mean, again, for Melody Time, there were credited the specific animators, and you say, "Oh, this person worked on this thing." That makes sense because the animation style reminds you of that.
Because Pinocchio was animated by Milt Kahl, I do remember that. It was him who came up with that much better design that Walt actually approved and didn't cancel the movie because of it. I also wouldn't be surprised if Ward Kimball is also animating this, because he was the wacky animator of the bunch. Although he did like much more to draw cartoon animals rather than humans. So maybe not. Depends. Fun fact. For Cinderella, all the animators were told to watch live action takes of the scenes as reference, and the animators didn't like it.
That's why a lot of things seems rotoscoped.
Not just that, but the animators didn't really like it. They felt like, I don't need this. Why do I need to do this? But Ward Kimball didn't have to deal with any of it because he was the one animating the mice and the cat. So
Why can't we have his
And he was
job?
like, "Sucks to be you guys."
check the behind the scenes. I don't know if Cinderella behind the scenes stuff is on Disney Plus. I'll check. I'm curious right now.
So yeah, caravans alone with a lot of people were already problematic. Imagine having to travel America mostly by your own.
Well, even
Pretty much.
He seems to be doing well.
Remember Java, he has the power of God on his side.
That said, we'll see how he does in the long run.
Sure, why not? Ah,
Oh.
I guess the bear just decided,
even the
oh,
animal are
crap, he
interested
doesn't
in
notice me."
even the animal are interested in the Bible.
No, the making of is not on Disney Plus, but
These
whatever.
animals are very prejudiced. Oh no. Alright, remind me again, what's the skunk character in Bambi called for the English version?
Flower.
Flower, okay.
Irony.
He can't help it.
So what you're saying, Shiroi, is, and what's wrong with having gas? Timon and Pumbaa reference. Check the Cartoon Disney
Yeah.
Plus.
I
Yep.
can imagine that. Bonk. Oh no, the power of petting, my one weakness. Congratulations, Johnny, you're a true Disney princess now.
Well, he did want a bit more in the start.
He also has a guardian. He is a Disney princess.
Damn it. He was giving him what we clearly did not have, a friendship.
Plenty of apples.
And plenty of different things in how to do with them.
Some more than others.
Yeah.
So this is
Oh, hey, Chip.
yeah, this is
Yeah, it's clearly animated like Chip.
my guess is this was his
Beta
first
Chip.
his first appearance,
No,
and maybe
the
no.
first appearance of Chip and Dale surprisingly was in a propaganda cartoon where they acted. It was basically where Pluto was supposed to guard out artillery and Chip and Dale was supposed to be saboteurs. Yes, in their first appearance, Chip and Dale were borderline Nazis. Think about that.
Well, Donald Duck was a Nazi once. Nothing surprises me these days.
When it comes to those propaganda cartoons, I prefer the ones that Warner Brothers was making. I mean, Bugs Bunny whacking Hitler with a giant hammer. That's just priceless.
I thought that was Daffy Duck that did that.
No. Well, actually, oh, you're right, actually. No, never mind. It's Daffy Duck.
There was also the private snafu ones that did for
You're
the
right,
military.
yeah. Well, those were more typical propaganda, not so much in terms of, with yeah, they were funny, but didn't have quite the same punch.
Damn.
Oh, hey, the set of Snow White. Who does he think he is? Paul Bunyan?
Remember, Joe, we show that his strength is not in his size, but instead in what he can do.
Mm-hmm. Are those the same animals, or are those their descendants?
Probably descendants. And yes, by the way, he dies, like at the end.
Oh, hey, it's time to go.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you died.
Oh,
Shoot, and his animal friends don't even know.
pretty much.
Heaven needs more apples, John.
Apparently, God is not can plan himself.
La 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 la, not listening. I'm not going to die.
No worry, Joe. I just needed some convincing, I guess.
So, should we assume that the animal friends will just eat the corpse when they realize he's dead?
Good. Jova, shut up. This cartoon is awesome. Don't ruin it.
It's the circle of life, Tio.
You're the
Yeah.
American, Jova. Be proud.
Exactly. Like I said, it's the circle of life.
Also, I find it interesting the irony that, if I recall correctly, they have this image in the setting of Pittsburgh, which is poisoning probably all these apple trees with its industry. I'm not American, Jova.
You know, at least his friends will be well fed.
Yeah, must look at the positives, I guess.
Yay!
Alright, this next one is mostly the one aimed at more little kids. Little Toot. Little Toot. It's based actually on a story about a small Tugboat, I think it's the term.
This is also one I saw on its own.
Alright, let's see who actually sing. Oh, the Andrew Sisters provide the vocals. I don't. Apparently, it was featured in Insignia Story with Belle in 1991. Yeah, if I recall correctly, this one also was, since it was entirely in song, it was not actually localized. Well, it's prototype cars, Jova. Jova, again, Cars logic. We do see flies, car flies though, so I don't know. Seriously, just no. And apparently little Toot is scared of any police? Like he's some criminal or something? What am I to be taking from this?
Of course the police has a gun on him.
Like, what is this tugboat being doing?
I wonder.
Like, yes, he is being kind of a rascal or everything, but, you know, being actively scared by the police. Okay, now this is actually more probably terrorist attack, I guess.
Oh dear.
I wonder what the people on board are thinking.
Apparently they thought we need to throw in the anchor before disaster strikes. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's actually to be concerned.
See, that's criminal behavior right there.
How strong is that little tugboat? Cry all you want, but to be fair, you probably killed a few people with that act.
Seriously.
Took down a few skyscrapers, too.
This implies there's boat prison.
Kinda.
Oh, and now his dad has to pull a barge.
Great.
Because he disgraced his father's name. Damn!
Reminder that this is the shore was aimed more at little kids. There you go. Throw into international waters. Literally exile.
He's a child.
Sorry,
Child
Shiro,
who may have
it's a cruel,
may
cruel
have-
world out there.
Unfortunately, sure, he may have killed some people. I mean, considering
Yeah, I
the damage
guess.
he did, he...
If not on the boat, but with this falling skyscrapers.
Of course the buoys are scary. What is Disney's fascination with making inanimate objects look like they want to kill the protagonists?
I don't know, Joe.
Damn, even the lighthouse won't touch him.
News about what he's done spreads far, I guess. Even God hates him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guess he's the only one brave enough to go through the waves.
Well, more like the little tool was already there, pretty much.
You were saying to him? He just went through that giant tidal wave.
He's trying.
Of course, even the rocks have scary faces on them. Thanks, God?
Yeah, apparently the moral is that before this poor kid to actually grow up, he has to be traumatized and severely electrocuted.
Wow. Oh.
For kids.
Brought to you by the happiest place on earth.
No, 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 no. The lifeboat saved... I'm sorry, the life raft saved the boat. Of course.
Yes.
And the boat saved the bigger boat. You've been through enough. We'll accept you back again. Why not?
Pretty much.
We even for you a parade and everything.
Alright, next one instead is another flagship segment was supposed to be in Fantasia, I think. The poem Trees, recited, I think, by Fred Warning and the Pennsylvanians. There you go, there's some trivia here about it that Wikipedia says. To preserve local regional story sketches, named artist Ken O'Connor came up with the idea of using frosted cells and render the pastel's images right onto the cells. Before being photographed, each cell was laminated in clear lacquer to protect the pastel. The result was a look that had never been seen in animation before. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, you know, even for
This is your animation on ice.
Yeah.
But in a good way.
I'll say this, even though this is technically one of a smaller time sort of movies, not as ambitious as Walt wanted it still has some pretty good animation, even by today's standards.
It also helps with the stylistic that, you know, each title looks different from the previous one.
Yep.
That too.
I mean, even if they didn't want to make it, they probably didn't want to make it low effort either.
Okay, this one too I remember distinctly was just kept again in English. I mean, for my country at least, sorry.
I guess they couldn't really adapt the lyrics to sound as fluid in Italian.
Pretty much, that was with the thought process behind, which, to be fair, I preferred that because despite the fact that it still managed to be marketable, most songs start with, both the era from Cinderella onward and also the Renaissance era have been actually translated, but they had to basically change the entire meaning behind a lot of those. And while we were still successful, I do believe they had lost the original meaning. For example, Everybody Wants to Be a Cat from the Aristocats is actually being changing to them liking jazz, which, sure, it's kind of similar to what we're doing, but it's completely different from the original song. But again, it's topic for another time.
I think it says something that Disney have an entire era to them, which is literally just called the package film age or the wartime era. Like, yeah,
Pretty much.
like it wouldn't be fair to count that as the silver age, really, because well, it wasn't really an age where Disney were allowed to. Well, I'd say that they were
was
still
circumstantial,
themselves,
Jova.
but yeah.
It's kind of like what's happening right now in 2020, just for different circumstances and with a different reactions. Back then, Disney still pushed its products and kind of had to pay the consequences for years. Nowadays, we're mostly just delaying and see what happens for now. Oh, and by the way, the final segment of the poem is surprisingly depressing. I know that it was basically the original. It tells, in general, if I recall correctly, the passing of a season. But I think it's about to show up. It's still also beautiful how we managed to, make it in song. Yeah, and then any other guy for the final beat, like, yeah, by the way, Jesus died on a tree. Like, okay, why though?
Because.
Wait, that was the one of the poem?
Yeah. It ends with, like, and the Lord died on a tree or something.
Ah, the cross
The Eye of
and all
God.
that.
Yeah, also the Eye of God.
Symbolism.
Or Bill Cipher, if you want to prefer that. It's Disney anyway. Anyway, this next one is a continuation of something we technically didn't start. Blame It on the Samba. There's a sort of minor continuity between these because there's an origin point in Saludos Amigos, then this in the middle, and it sort of ends with the Three Caballeros. This is where the time where Donald was given a sidekick. Jose, or Jose, I think it's the correct pronunciation, Carioca.
José Carioca.
Brazilian Portuguese. The characters do not speak in this short, but they do in both Saludos Amigos and Three Caballeros.
I actually forgot. What's the English name of this character?
Still Jose Carioca.
Ah, okay.
But surprisingly enough, because I actually did some research, supposedly the original voice actor for the English release also did the entirety of Italian dub for Three Caballeros and for that second in Saludos Amigos. Apparently, the actor they got for Jose was versed in other languages.
True.
That's cool.
It also happened in 1999 where Phil Collins also did some foreign versions of his songs. Didn't you do the Italian ones too?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
It's not as impressive as it is in English. I can tell you that.
Like,
Anyway,
does he sing them bad? Does he sing badly in Italian or something?
It sounds like he has his nose shut.
So, speaking of them, has anyone seen the new Three Caballeros show?
No, I still actually had to recover that.
I've heard interesting things about it.
Jose actually became a fan favorite, of course, in South America, but he actually had a brief comic line even in my country.
The Three Caballeros were
Jose's-
also brought back in the DuckTales reboot.
Oh yeah, that too. Pedro, have you seen the new Free Caballero show?
Not yet, no.
But yeah, like Tia said, Jose is an example of the trope. Mexicans love Speedy Gonzalez here and there. He was actually a big hit with the South American society.
Yeah.
The other supporting character that shows here is the Araqua bird. He will show up again in Three Caballeros. He's mostly Disney's answer to Woody Woodpecker. Let's be honest.
That's the thing. That's the thing, Jova. The Brazilian translations of the Disney comics, which also added a lot of Zakarioka stories. Also, apparently, if I remember correctly, some of them were actually made with Brazil's help. So
Okay, you're probably very confused by this, but it's a tradition that also Saludos Amigos and Free Caballeros uphold by showcasing live-action actors and actresses. And this, and if you don't know anything about this age of animation, this was around the time that Donald was lusting over live-action woman. Yes, apparently that was a very recurring thing.
He had a phase of that?
Yes,
to be fair,
The point of Free Caballeros was to get Donald laid.
kinda.
to be fair, Droopy did this as well in one of his shorts.
No, I know that. I just found it kind of amusing that it was this consistent. Like, let me check if we actually credited who is this person. There we go. Organist Ethel Smith.
Basically, Disney flexing their animation.
Kinda. I can tell this is also like again, just like one of the things that they discarded from that they wanted to put in Saludos Amigos.
Mm-hmm.
There was also a similar theme in one of the, actually, I think, very old Disney short that regarded Donald, where he actually wants to go to Hollywood to actually get an autograph from the stars there, but the security guard keeps pushing him away because, of course, the war had to be against him. It's tradition and everything. But the payoff is essentially that I forgot which specific actor recognized him as Donald, and the punchline is that everyone else wants his autograph. People like Greta Garbo, and other celebrities.
Mm-hmm. That looks like a fun ride. Did this character ever survive into modern age?
I don't think so. I don't know if it shows up. If it is, it probably may show up in the Free Caballero show that you mentioned, Jova, because that was literally his only other appearance when this. It's a shame instead for Jose and Panchito, the guy who shows up also in Free Caballeros, because I do believe they had potential to be much more recurring.
To be fair, they did actually come back in a lot of other stuff, comics, The House of Mouse.
No, the comics, yeah, they actually were more favorable to them.
They also showed up in The House of Mouse, like I said, which was kind of, the revival for a lot of Disney characters here and there.
Well, yeah, that was their attempt at trying to make something alone. Like they had their own new silly symphonies, even. So.
Yeah, I like The House of Mouse.
Same.
There we go. Alright,
that's all, folks.
For the last one, Jova, it's time for some more American history for you, and probably another one that you might know, the story of Pecos Bill. And yes, once again, Roy Rogers is super credited because he was their big, actor that they had for a cameo in this movie. Because believe it or not, we start with the live-action segment, actually.
So you said that this is the last one?
Yes.
We have like 23 minutes
It's
left.
Yeah, I was going to
it's the
say,
longest,
this takes up
though.
like a quarter of the...
This is actually the longest of the
runtime.
launch.
Oh, a Western.
Yes. This actually also was the one that was the most censored of the bunch for the usage of tobacco, but will be more apparent later.
Hmm. Is this like Is this like the standout cartoon of the bunch? I'm guessing.
Kinda. You can tell that there was quote unquote more production value into this one, and there was the fact that again we had the big star cameo for this one. Not just Ray Roger, but Bob Nolan triggered a horse. So yes, he drove a horse track back then, and child celebrities back then, Bobby Driscoll and Luana Pattern. Again, it was kind of like having famous people at the time to help promote the movie, essentially.
Bobby Driscoll. Where have I heard that name before?
I think it was...
Wait, was he Peter Pan?
Let me check filmography.
I wouldn't be surprised because they did use a lot of the same actors, like Catherine Beaumont was Alice and Wendy.
Yes, it was Peter Pan.
Aha! Ah, shame. After Peter Pan, his career kind of took a downfall, and wow, tragedy struck.
Also, Bambi and Feline. What are you guys doing here?
I think the music was provided by this group called the Sons of the Pioneers. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, there we are. I think this was actually one of the first blending in of live action and animation for on this kind of level, mind you. Although again, it was much more simple, of course.
Wait, is that John Wayne?
No. I thought at first as well, but no, that's Roy Rogers.
Huh.
Let me see instead what Luana Pattern did. Yeah.
This is also another thing, like the fact that they have plenty of live action in this particular short, because I'm personally not that big of a fan of Disney's live action material from this era. Without some exceptions, of course, like Old Yeller and stuff. But for the most of it, it's fine, I guess, but nowhere near as good as their animated stuff.
I liked the live action Treasure Island video. I forgot which year it was. I think it was still the 50s.
Yeah, that one's
Maybe
fine.
it was 1959, I think.
Yeah, that one's fine, but I still prefer Treasure Planet.
Also, I actually really liked the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but I think that was way later on.
I don't remember even seeing that one personally.
Did you ever see it?
I just said I don't think I ever saw it.
Well, Pedro, I'm asking if you mean it in the sense that you have seen it, but you barely remember seeing it, or you haven't seen it at all. In the case of,
I don't think
remember if you've seen it.
I don't think I have seen it, or if I have, I definitely don't remember it. That should tell you a lot.
Ah, horse's teeth. Always a pleasure to see.
So yeah, Jovan, this being the a Western story, it's about love, action, and betrayal. Just not in the way you expect, though.
Love between a cowboy and his horse.
For me, one of the big things when it comes to the live action stuff that Disney was doing at this point in time was a lot of the acting felt very, wooden for me, especially the kids.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Oh.
Yeah, let's start by drawing a map.
I can even even talking about that movie that Disney doesn't want to acknowledge, Song of the South. That movie, for as racist as it is, honestly to me, it's mostly just boring as shit.
Apparently, my mom felt the same way when she saw it in theaters as a kid, because she kind of fell asleep for most of it.
Oh,
Wow.
let me guess. It's one of those things where jokingly, you guys will say something. Oh, so you was it really a problem with the racism? And your mom will be like, no, I'm most offended by the fact that it's boring as crap.
That's kind of her stance in it. Well, okay, let me put it like this: she can't really remember most of the movie, because she fell asleep for most of it.
That says a lot.
Don't get me wrong, I like Uncle Remus, but God, everything else is boring.
Yeah, Uncle Remus is like the saving grace of that. Oh, sure, there's the animated cartoon, fellas, but
yeah, all like 10 minutes of it.
Yeah.
So anyway, for the Family of the Year award, they lost a child.
Brilliant.
A very blonde child.
So I guess that makes him an official Disney orphan. Just not in the typical sense.
Congratulations.
Maybe he's a British descent. Maybe
Western Mowgli Jova, because he's about to be raised by coyotes.
Yeah, that actually is a question.
The hair and everything, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, Shira. Yeah, because remember, I meet a lot of British people in my line of work. Like, could you explain to me why so many British men are blonde? Like, there's like, it's like a 7-to-3 ratio. Like, I don't even is there some kind of chemicals going on?
Norman heritage genes, Pedro. For a time, the UK actually has been conquered by the Vikings. So, yeah, they really left their genes bare.
Fucking genes.
They do cause a lot of shit.
Yeah, it's like,
wow.
Get the fuck away.
So it really is Western Mowgli.
But the mom's okay, I guess. Yeah, sure, one of her pups may starve to death, but why not?
Because this is totally what a wolf would do if it's whatever.
Yeah, honestly, John, that's even worse for a coyote because they're scavengers.
Whatever.
They eat literally everything.
Whatever. The point is that's totally what a carnivorous predator would do if it saw a child, a little baby. Definitely.
Oh, don't worry. Apparently, Pecos Bill has the power of the canary cry by his side.
Also, Pedro, believe it or not, there's actually a lot of cases in real life where carnivorous animals actually have taken human children in.
Speaking for myself, remember, Pedro, if you don't know, the origin of Rome is the fact that the two twins, Romulus and Remus, had been adopted by a female wolf.
Huh, how about that?
Okay, then.
So one of the longest-running empires was started by wolves, technically.
Yeah. It's mostly romanticization driven because it also has a parallel to Cain and Abel for story because it says that Romulus eventually killed Remus. Oof.
Yeah, deserts aren't exactly the most hospitable places.
Just ask Ang.
Yeah.
I think for this particular segment, they actually did localize the songs. I guess we were, again, production value. We probably wanted to put the priority here.
I can definitely see this being what they intended to be the breakout hit of the movie.
Jesus.
Wile E. Coyote must be so proud. And his coyote family.
And there we
totally
go. We
didn't.
just glossed the fact that he eventually returned back to civilization, I guess.
The
Pretty
feathers from
much.
the birds he just plucked to high heaven.
Oh, I think I've seen these characters on the House of Mouse. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, they always have a lot of references to these things in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Fun fact: when I was a kid, I actually had a children's book version of this short because there was a collection that Disney made back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So where did he learn to smoke cigarettes, I wonder?
Again, we just glossed over his return to civilization.
Because this was before Jova. Remember, at the time, Jova animation was made for adults, and that's it. No childish stereotype that animation has nowadays.
Not just that, I think we just had a bit more the idea of, we were more okay to show just characters smoking without thinking that, children take that as a bad example. I do believe...
No. I get that. Literally, my only question is where he learned to smoke.
Again, Java, once again, we just glossed over his return to civilization, which probably would
During
have been
this
the
time,
most
wasn't
important part.
smoking heavily
Oh!
promoted as a good thing?
Oh, I see. He's one of those kinds of superheroes. The guy who can literally lasso a cloud if he wants to.
Yes.
Yeah, wasn't smoking promoted as a good thing around this time?
Remember there was the commercial with the Flintstones. Winston tastes good like a good cigarette should.
That's funny because the Pinocchio movie suggests that smoking was bad. And that was made in 1940.
There's also the irony, Jova. Cigarettes were one thing that Americans
Oh, look,
introduced in my country.
One of the vultures from Snow White is here.
Yep. Oh.
Yeah,
That escalated quickly.
pretty much.
Although that could be said about a lot of these shorts, to be honest.
So, is this based on an old classic folklore tale, perchance?
Supposedly. Or, again, exaggerated for the purpose of romanticization. Oh boy.
What a nice guy.
Well, so you're telling me that they censored the smoke
The
stuff,
smoking, but none of this
not
crap.
the natives.
Skewed
Holy
priorities.
shit, Disney.
Well, technically, our version is uncensored anyway, so we don't know if they censored this.
I'll tell
No,
you more
no,
after
no,
we're
no, no.
done. I'll tell you
No,
more
no.
after we're done.
I know what it is, too. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, for all we know, maybe it was. I never saw the censored version. That's the thing.
Was there a statement about this? Was it specifically smoking they stated?
Yes,
Okay.
Oh.
then.
just they literally went to a way to alter Pecosville's cigarette, and they removed an entire scene, the scene that you guys saw where he rides the tornado because he had a cigarette in.
So not Disney's usual,
Policy.
Well, sorry, we've seen Peter Pan. We know how Disney could be.
Yes, and Aristocats.
Yeah, that
But Java.
That movie is the one that probably is aged the worst.
But Jova,
Especially that last song, oh my god.
to this day, I still don't know what makes the red man red.
Get the pun, guys? She's a literal catfish.
Oh my god.
I think you're having a stroke, dude.
Wait, the first female woman he's ever seen? Dude, where have you been?
In the desert.
I know, but he's been to some towns, like, jeez.
Again, Jova, it's like that tart bed probably should have been to give him a bit of more priority.
Oh, I think he
So-
really is having a stroke.
So
That's like oh Jesus Christ, it's literally hallucinating. That's just like having the first Tarzan, being him raised up, kind of like in Tarzan 2, and then the sequel show him later after he had been into civilization.
awkward that was.
I'm pretty sure some of the books try to do that, but again, I haven't read them.
True. So he kind of went through puberty without ever realizing the attraction side. I
Yeah,
guess.
and basically it was all concentrated in one hallucinogenic trip.
Wait. That was a hallucination?
No, the fact that he tripped balls, Jova.
Ah, okay. Of course he arranged for the moon to rise just right in time.
Remember, Jova is Texas superhero, apparently.
Pretty much.
Oh. Oh.
Sweet stew.
Alright, and now we're about to see the conclusion of the short. It's still not very short, it's still, I think it takes a
Oh,
bit.
well, something went off in his pants.
Yeah.
Eh.
Okay.
Wait, his horse is called Widowmaker, and
Yes.
she wants to marry Bill. And Widowmaker clearly doesn't like her.
Apparently the thought never crossed anyone's mind.
I get the feeling Bill has a good idea of what might happen. Oh, God.
That horse really is not happy.
Well, she looks like she's enjoying herself.
And she's doing quite well.
I think that's the entire point. It's kind of like the general villain in the Spirit movie. The problem is that, apparently the thing that she decided to don apparently just decides to act like an actual spring.
Oh.
I don't even...
Some bustles were made like that, but I don't think they normally bounce them that much.
Yeet.
It bounced her back up. Maybe somebody should catch her?
Yeah. Is she going to space?
Well, crap.
Yeah.
Bad horsey.
Yeah. And you know what's the sad part, Jova?
She
I can tell you
dies.
this
that's
already.
the truth.
Not just that, the horse gets away with this. Bill doesn't even know. This was infuriating for me as a kid.
This is still going on.
Until she reaches Shiri bang soon to the moon.
Oh, and she
Oh.
stayed there.
She did go to space.
So, from what I understand, the original tale was not that downer an ending, apparently.
I actually don't know.
Let's see.
Not just that, again, this serves for the moral of the story, the question that the kids ask at the beginning. Apparently, this prompted Bill to go back into the nature and start howling at the coyotes. And apparently this is why coyotes howl at the moon. Enjoy. I honestly think the Quetzalcoatl story from X-Men Origins Wolverine was much more polite.
Damn.
And yes, we even conclude with just the song from the beginning. No final narration or anything. Like, I was like, wait, why do you want to end like this? The only minor bit of comedy is that only now the turtles arrived. That's it. That's the movie. Goodbye, I guess.
How weird. Okay, so apparently whether or not Bill manages to save Slewfoot Sue
Depends.
varies from version to version of the original legend. So this adaptation went for the downer ending. That's
surprising.
especially for Disney of all things.
And it
Not just
starts as
that,
a story being told to two small children.
And not just that, this is how you ended your film piece. Like,
I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the short, but damn, that's a downer ending if ever
Yeah, that
I've
really
seen
is it.
one.
Jeez.
Bad horsey.
that gets even away with it. Alright, final thoughts. Who wants to start?
Okay. It's pretty good for what it is, I guess. It's just that I'm not a particularly big fan of these Disney movies.
Do you think this is better, worse, or equal on Make My Music?
I would say maybe better. Yeah, probably this is one of the better ones. Definitely. Remember, Taylor, like I've said in our commentary, I'm not even. I'm even critical of Fantasia, despite everybody loving that movie.
Sure.
So
I was about to say, dare I ask how you think this stacks up to compared to
It
Fantasia?
shouldn't, Drove. I honestly think it's a different category.
But I will say this. Here's one thing that this movie has that Fantasia doesn't: consistency. In the sense that most of the shorts feel consistent in tone, and it doesn't feel like you're just watching. It doesn't feel like an inconsistent experience. Whereas Fantasia, one moment you're watching a funny little thing with cartoons, and then suddenly you're watching the devil kill people. So
Yeah.
So at least this one has definitely has a more consistent tone and style, whereas Fantasia just felt like a mash of completely different things that didn't really feel like they belonged together, even as a compilation. So yeah, I will give it that. It is, however, not as memorable as Fantasia still, though. But yeah, it's still fine enough for what it is. But all the shorts are mostly fine. I don't really have any major issues with anything, but at the same time, I don't have anything particular. Like, again, it's fine. It's perfectly fine for what it is. But I'm still not a particularly big fan of this era of Disney movies, just because I feel like I don't know. I feel like this production crew is much better at telling an entire story through a movie rather than trying to mash shorts into one.
So, which would you say was your favorite of the shorts?
The last one, just because of how bizarre of an ending it is.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, I'm done.
Jova.
Sure, I'll go next. Yeah, okay. This one was a fun time. I'll admit, I don't know. Well, okay, I think I may know why, but I kind of had a bit more of a fun time with this movie than with Make My Music. I mean, I don't know. Something about Make My Music definitely feels like it was cheap compared to Fantasia, whereas this does feel like something I could consider being an actual movie, even though it still is once again a compilation of shorts in there. I don't know, maybe it's because a lot of the animations here feel even higher grade and whatnot. And I will say some of them do feel more memorable here and there. Case in point, Pecco Spill, who, yeah, I guess at this point is pretty much a pseudo Disney character, seeing as how I know for certain I've seen him and Widowmaker show up in House of Mouse, so yeah, Disney considers them big enough for it. And of course, well, he's a character based off of a classic folklore tale, so of course Disney's gotta put their stamp on that. The music is good. Animation is good and well varied here and there, while also having a bit of a consistent enough tone. I mean, I wasn't bugged by the different tones in Fantasia, but I could see how having a more consistent tone can help this movie as well. The connection, while flimsy, works out here and well here and there. Yeah, the ending was kind of a shame, but I have to say it's almost kind of refreshing seeing Disney actually go for a more downer ending. I mean, that's not to say that I wouldn't have liked to have seen a happier ending, oh no, sir. But it is so weird to see Disney actually go for the downer ending, considering how it's kind of their trademark to go for a more happier solution more often than not here and there. That said, though, yeah, my favorite short was also the Pecco's Bill short. For it being a Western, for it being so outlandish, it's pretty much Western Jungle Book when you get down to it in a lot of ways. Yeah, the Pecco's Bill short was my favorite. Alright, next.
Shiri?
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree that this is the better of the two quote-unquote sequels. It is a lot more consistent, and I also would say that the last short was my favorite as well.
For outlandish it was, or do you like Westerns? I was just wondering your reason for why it's your favorite, that's all.
No, it was probably one of the more memorable ones, and, well, yeah, like Pedro said, it is pretty bizarre, and yeah, like the other ones are great too. It's just, like, the most effort went into this one, clearly. Like, overall, this definitely, kept my attention more than Make My Music. So
yeah,
which was kind of sluggish to sit through. I'm gonna be honest. So yeah, this was even if they didn't enjoy making this, you know, it's certainly a good result, which is nice to see. And that's it.
All right, I'll conclude. Yeah, I actually like these a bit better when Make My Music. But like I said, I enjoyed both on a nostalgic level. My favorite, I have to be the voice outside of the choir and say that it's Johnny Appleseed one. Again, it's probably the one that it should have ended. I kind of agree on like Walker on this one. It's probably the more consistent, the more wholesome, quote unquote, and the more safe. Because unfortunately, Pecosby also has that segment with the natives. Jesus Christ! But no, overall, I think I actually like the experience. So there's that. And again, I don't know if the Disney animators and Disney himself, were doing this begrudgingly. And in case how much they did or not. But again, I still fine. I think what they did was fine at the very least.
I feel like this movie probably was something that they didn't do with as much gritted teeth as, say, Make My Music, which I can just feel the teeth gritting from right there and then. And like you said, some of the shorts here were taken from what didn't make it into Fantasia, so there's definitely the passion there.
All right, there are minor stuff that also happened in between, like I mentioned, so those Amigos and the Three Caballeros, or stuff like Fun and Fancy Free, Dorico and Mr. Toad. But officially, next time we'll finally look at the sequel that Fantasia got in the year 1999-2000. So look forward to that.
Case in point, folks, the beginning of the infamous experimental era of Disney.
See ya.
See ya.
So yeah.
See ya.